Hello and good afternoon and welcome to Thursday's Travel Talk with Travel Time. For anyone who's joining us for the first time, Travel Time is a full service agency located in Canada and some branches in the US. We've received numerous awards over the years for more than a decade in the industry. We've organized these live broadcasts to bring our audience important and reliable information about what's going on in the world today. With that said, we'd like to welcome today our guest on the show, Susan Lawson, who is with Allianz. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lois. Glad to be here. Thank you for this opportunity.
We thought it was a really key piece of information to bring to our clients who will be listening in, just some general information about Allianz Insurance and the protection that you've provided over the years and continue to do so to our valued clients. Can you just explain in a nutshell what the benefits of a travel insurance policy is?
Oh, absolutely. And first of all, if you don't mind, I just would like to say thank you to you, Lois, and to the whole Travel Time team. I'm always in awe of the service that you provide your clients and the holistic approach you have to booking travel. I think now more than ever, people recognize the value of a true travel professional. And I can honestly say, in working with you and your team, you're always concerned about your clients' well-being and their best interest at heart. So I always look forward to your questions. You've got some great questions, but it's because you're always going deep to get the answers you need for your clients. At Allianz Global Assistance, we really do pride ourselves in our core ideology, which is to really help people at a time when they need help the most. And that truly is what your travel insurance policy does. We're a worldwide company, and so you can feel confident that your clients are being taken care of us worldwide. But at the same time, we have this opportunity to, connect locally. So with the insurance policy, I always look at it in three ways. I think in terms of the emergency hospital and medical piece of the policy, I think of the trip cancellation piece and the trip interruption. And each one of them speaks to a different area of concern and investment for your clients. I strongly believe in emergency hospital and medical when people are traveling away from home to make sure that they are covered for those unexpected emergencies at destination. I can't imagine traveling around this amazing world without having that protection. And then
I remember just a point that when we were traveling in Europe last time, one thing I noted in several of the cities that we traveled through was there was a large building in the downtown core with Allianz across the side. And I have to say, it gave me a level of confidence in our travels that if anything went wrong, I knew we were covered no matter where we were.
That's such a great point. And I think it's really important for your clients that they know that and they feel that. At the same time, when they're at destination and they know that we do have business units all over the world, they know that when they do have that emergency, they're reaching back to our emergency assistance team here right in Canada. So they've got the link back to home. But if we need to engage any of our counterparts around the world to help your clients, we've got access to that kind of support. So that's very important at a time of emergency because it's stressful and we want to be able to help as quickly as possible. And then, as I was mentioning with the cancellation piece, that's the trip cancellation that you sell to your clients once they are at risk of losing any of their investment. We at Allianz have 26 insured reasons for your clients to cancel their trip and get 100% of their money back. And, I should just mention one thing while we're chatting is Allianz, we sell our product in many different distribution channels. So your clients may see the Allianz brand just as you did on different buildings, but they may see the Allianz brand on their credit card or their employer benefits plan, or they may see that their broker sells Allianz. my responsibility is to work with the travel channel, with you, the travel advisors. And I just want to point out that the plan that we sell in the travel channel is unique, as are all the other plans that are in the marketplace. So they really can't be compared to each other. So that's an important piece, because when I reference 26 insured risks or covered reasons to cancel your trip and get your money back, that is as it relates to that TPI policy that you sell. So that's an important piece.
That is a really important piece, because I know that, a lot of times people feel that they're covered by a plan elsewhere or credit cards or what have you, but trying to point out that it's not always the same coverage or give the same level of coverage on every different reason.
It is an important, I think, an important thing to point out to your clients, because those assumptions are what happens when people make those assumptions, and then the next thing they know, they're not covered adequately. Of course, we're not in the business of over-insuring anybody, but we want to make sure that they're adequately insured. So we can certainly, work with you and your clients that do have some insurance with some other provider, but if it's not enough for that $10,000, vacation that they've booked, then we're here to help in terms of topping that up or adding to that. And then the third piece is the interruption. So that interruption starts as soon as you leave your residence. And so once you've started on your journey, if anything happens to interrupt your trip, you want to know that you're covered for those unknown expenses that may come up as a result of the interruption. And then if you were required to come home, or you end your trip early, and you had prepaid some of your vacation, your amazing all-inclusive trip, you've prepaid that. With interruption, if it is a covered risk, then you do have the interruption benefits. So out-of-pocket expense, your flight home, and those unused days of that vacation that you insured. So I see it as three different pieces, the insurance policy, but my recommendation always is to you and your team, and I know you believe in this as well, is to really look at the all-inclusive plan and add the cancel for any reason to that plan. Right. And now we have our COVID-19 plan that's a standalone plan specifically for COVID-19. And so we say bundle all those three together, and that is the most robust coverage you can offer your clients when they travel.
So that brings us to the next point of who travel insurance is for, who needs it. And from our standpoint at the agency, absolutely everybody that we're booking travel needs insurance. So that, I'm sure that you agree with us on that. We've 100%. Seen so many situations where somebody who thought they had it covered elsewhere finds out that it's not. And the only way we can know that it's an adequate coverage for the trip we're booking is if it's an Allianz plan that we know the details of and the coverage for.
And you know it well. And you sometimes come to me with some pretty interesting questions, as I said, because you do know the policy well, and so does your team, which is important because we all know there's a lot of information when it comes to insurance. And to be honest, I've been in the industry for over 40 years, and I've spent most of my time on the supplier side, the tour operator side, and then some of my time on the retail side. So now at this stage of my career, I'm, as you know, involved in the insurance, and it's absolutely a fascinating part of the business, but I do recognize just the detail that's involved. And so, we try to simplify it so that your clients will understand it, and that you will also know those, sort of red flags to address with your client. Mm-hmm. But it is really a pretty simple process. I keep the policy wording right by me, and I have the policy. I reference it all the time. But if you think in terms of, first of all, am I eligible to buy the insurance? And there is an eligibility, but the eligibility is not a long list of criteria to meet in order to be eligible. It is actually quite short. So you can actually sell travel insurance to a wide range of people as long as they fit into these certain categories. But then the next thing I always say is, so explain, what are they buying? What are the covered reasons that they're purchasing this policy? What are they covering here? And what are the benefits if in fact they did have a claim? What do they actually get in return? And then not to forget that we always have to look at the exclusions. There's always going to be exclusions. Not everything is covered. And so we have to bring our clients, really, we have to bring them up to that level so that they understand what the decisions that they're making. I really believe after these last 8 months that we've all been through, that more and more people have a better understanding of travel insurance and the need for it. And I believe that they will be asking a lot more questions. And actually, that's one of the reasons we're always trying to simplify our wording and make it easier for you and your clients.
It's the situational questions that sometimes are the best demonstration of how the rules and the covered reasons and everything goes. And lots of times when we're booking for a client, and travel insurance is part of that equation before we even get to the deposit stage, and emphasizing that this insurance is very important to purchase. And the question always comes, well, do I need to purchase it now or can I purchase it later? And one of the analogies that I find really helpful is that you cannot buy insurance on your car to cover an accident that's already happened. You have to purchase it when you purchase the new car to insure it. So that's kind of one of my analogies that I think really demonstrates when the important time frame is to purchase the insurance.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And I think it's helpful for you to do it right up front. It's in terms of the service that you provide and your clients are totally taken care of. And then if they do find out that in fact they do have some coverage somewhere else, we can always make adjustments after that. But I think just knowing that, my trip's booked, I can't wait to go on that incredible, cruise or the Mekong or whatever I'm going to do. And on top of that, I feel totally safe because I've covered my investment. And once I travel, I've covered my emergency hospital and medical for sudden and unexpected emergencies. And that's
Right.
Key as well.
Unexpected is a key word.
I totally agree with that. I will point out there is one product that has to be sold, in fact, right as soon as your customer is at risk. So as soon as they have money deposited down, that's when they have to make the decision for our cancel for any reason product.
Right.
And that's a plan that actually is added to any of our trip cancellation policies. You can actually add the cancel for any reason component too. You can't buy it on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But again, as I said earlier, I believe that adding that cancel for any reason gives your clients that much more flexibility in terms of their reasons for canceling. However, at the same time, because it is a high risk product, because we don't have stats on canceling for any reason, so can't really put a premium on that. The benefits are tiered in the way that they're paid out. So the important thing to know as a client is that if I purchase the cancel for any reason, and if for any reason up to 7 days prior to departure, I cancel, and it's not one of the 26 covered reasons where I would get 100% of my money back, it's a cancel for any reason. If I cancel 7 days prior to departure, I get 75% of my money back. If I cancel between 6 days and 48 hours prior to departure, I get 75% of my money back, but it's capped at $1,500. And then if I cancel within 48 hours prior to departure, which is really close to departure date, there's actually no benefit paid out for the cancel for any reason. So it's really important, those are the things that you and your team explain to your clients to prepare them so that if they do think that there may be a reason that they may have to cancel, they purchase that cancel for any reason right up front. They make that commitment. Obviously, nobody books a trip with the intentions of canceling their trip.
Right.
but now they're protected if that unexpected situation
And
or
that 2 days before travel or 48 hours before travel, in our experience, if somebody is canceling that close, it's not just because they changed their mind, it's for some covered reason. So, that takes care of that.
And that's the perfect answer. So you take them down that path so that they know what to expect. And that's really what you do in preparing them for the client journey with their travel insurance policy. Right from the beginning, when you present it to them and you educate them and inform them of what they need to do to protect themselves, right through to just making sure that they know that if anything happens to them at destination, that they call us first so that we can
Right.
help them.
That was my next question. If somebody has a claim and finds themselves in a situation that requires a claim process in destination, can you just explain the sequence? I know they contact Allianz first for direction, but from there.
Sure, absolutely, because that's a really important piece, and
Mhm.
especially when it's during a stressful time. We have all extremes of things that can happen, from a broken leg to something much more serious. And so it's a stressful time. So it's best if you plant these seeds and you prepare them for when that happens. What should I do? You pick up the phone, you call us. You're connected to our incredible emergency assistance team that are trained to help you during that time. What we do at that point is we get your policy information, because of course they're taking in those calls from all of our different plans. So we need to understand what your plan is and what your coverage is. We get that information and then we triage you depending on your needs. So we have just launched our virtual care, for example. So if we felt that what you needed was to be able to speak to a licensed physician on a video call right back here in Canada, connecting you in Italy, then we would triage you over to that and connect you with that line so that they would take care of your needs. At the same time, we would remind you to make sure that you get receipts for everything, whether it's the taxi or your out-of-pocket expenses, and of course your hospital bill. What we try to do is we also, when you call us, is we try to guide you to a facility that we have already audited, that we have already worked with, and we've gone in there and they've met with our level of standardization and they have agreed to direct billing. So we want to send you to one of our facilities so that things are much smoother for the client and so that they don't have to worry about putting any money out. However, at the same time, if there is an emergency and the closest facility is to a place that we do not have an agreement with, we have not met with them yet, by all means, you still go there. We'll get right on the phone with them because you're calling us, and we'll try to negotiate direct billing, and we'll be there again as your advocate to help you through that process. But throughout all of that, you always want to make sure that when you leave the hospital, that you get all the doctor's notes and you get all the receipts. We're not used to that in Canada. We don't leave with a receipt. And so we want to make sure that they're prepared. We're even saying, take a little baggie and, keep all your receipts in that little baggie so that you can submit those and your claim will be paid when you get back home. Does that help?
Yes, it does. And I can just relate to one experience that I've had when my children were a bit younger. We were going on a cruise out of Florida. And the night before we were to get on the ship, our youngest complained of a fever and had an ear pain and so on and so forth. So I did call the Allianz line and they directed me to the closest hospital, which was like literally around the corner from the hotel we were staying at. We went there. They were expecting us. They had already had a call from the insurance. He was taken in, he was examined and given an antibiotic, and the next morning he was fine. So it was all we had to pay for was the medication, I believe, and that was submitted afterwards and paid back to us.
Well, thank you for sharing that story, because that's exactly our intentions and that's the way we want it to happen, so that you don't have any added stress. Obviously, if we have a child that's sick, your mind, you can't think of all these details because your focus is on your children. And so the fact that we can help you and be there is, I'm sure it was a comfort, and that's a true story that you've lived, and you can share that just as you have.
Yep.
So appreciate you sharing that.
So is there anyone who would not benefit from having a coverage like this when they're traveling? Or what conditions would not benefit? Existing conditions, maybe?
So because of the eligibility, there's eligibility, so you really do, qualify at that point. However, so for example, if you did need to complete a medical questionnaire, over 60, traveling over 61 days, or if you're over 74, that you have to fill out a medical questionnaire, we would have an idea, and maybe you would not be eligible once you move forward into that process as we learn more and more about your specific health. And so then if you're not eligible, if you're not a Canadian resident, I mean, is that what you're asking in terms of that?
I get the question that, somebody has a pre-existing condition that they're concerned about for travel. And my answer to that is usually, even if there is a condition that would be excluded based on, the criteria that needs to be met, the insurance is still valuable because the reason you may need insurance could be something entirely different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And, remember in our policy, depending on your age and stage, if you do have, we do have an exclusion for pre-existing conditions, but there's a stability period.
Right.
So that is what we have to look at. So maybe I have a pre-existing condition, but it's been stable for 2 years. And based on my age and the length of my trip, that allows me to travel and have that pre-existing covered. But I mean, that's a broad answer to that question. Mm-hmm. So you have to dig deep. But you see the flexibility. If you slip
and fall in destination and end up with a broken ankle, that's still a valuable coverage that you have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you want to be covered for all of those other reasons. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. The other question that we get a lot here at the agency is about credit card coverages. And some people feel like because they have a card that states travel benefits included, or however it's worded, they feel like that excludes them from the need to purchase travel insurance. We don't agree, but you can tell us why.
So the big reason, and there is this misunderstanding or misperception for a lot of people that just assume that through the marketing that they've seen with their credit card, that one of the benefits listed is travel insurance, which is wonderful that there is that component included in the benefits of that card. But the important thing is to really understand, what does that mean? And so we've actually created a document for you to help your clients with a list of questions. And we strongly recommend that if they feel that they're covered by their credit card, we understand that. We ask them to call their credit card and ask these questions just to make sure. They have to obviously understand their trip. I'm going away for 2 weeks. My trip is $10,000. I'm 63 years old. What does that mean to my credit card? And then you ask those questions, and then that's really critical because maybe my credit card does cover me for 3 days out of the 14, or maybe it does cover me for $1,500 for trip cancellation, or maybe a little bit more depending on the card. But if it's not adequate, then there's you're traveling with this understanding that you have full coverage when you actually don't. So we strongly recommend that they follow through. What I suggest is if they do say that they do have coverage on their credit card, I suggest that they call, as I just said, but I also say, well, let's continue on. Let's buy the insurance for you. Let's purchase the insurance for this trip. Let's get it all done while we're on the phone right now. And when you call your credit card company, if you find out that you have a great coverage and you're completely covered, all you have to do is call me back and you have 10-day free look. And we can cancel that policy for you. Or if you do find out after you've called the credit card and you've asked all those questions that clearly you don't have enough, you don't even really have to call me back. It's done and the policy's ready and you're good to go. So, it depends on how you want to position it. Again, I'm always one to try to give them as much information so that they can make those choices and give them options.
Yeah, we're not about trying to make sure people are overcovered. I could state that. It's about knowing that they have the assurance and we have the insurance. If we get that call from a client in destination with some tragedy after overtaking them, that we know with assurance that this is going to be taken care of. There's nothing worse as a travel advisor than to get a call and realize that, you know what, that client decided they were willing to take a risk. And now here is the worst has happened, and what a position they are in and what a position we are in. And that's what we want to avoid. We want to avoid, the headache down the road and being in a situation that is very, very difficult in destination.
And you and I both know we've heard many very, very difficult stories, and it's heartbreaking. And all we want to do is help them, but there's nothing we can do because they either felt they were covered and didn't want to explore that, or they really didn't believe that they were ever going to need travel insurance. And so now they're wanting you to help them, and there's nothing we can do. And I mean, we feel terrible about that. I know we do. But those people, the next time, I've heard that they definitely buy travel insurance because they realize the risk.
Yeah, we've had a few situations like that too. And I remember a couple of years ago, there was a couple locally that were going on their first cruise ever. And we had the conversation around everything about the trip and the travel insurance, and they took the full package travel insurance. And the lady did get sick on the ship, had to be taken off onto an island, ended up with a medevac back to Canada with an escort from Allianz, a nurse escort that went to bring her back. The man showed up at my door a few days later just to say thank you in person for the advice I had given on the Allianz insurance. So it is a very real thing if you end up in a situation where it's needed, and we've seen that so often. Personally, for myself, I would never consider going anywhere without having an adequate coverage.
Well, I can tell you, as I mentioned, I've been in this industry for many years, and in the past 5 with Allianz Global Assistance. And my friends and family, as soon as they mention that they're traveling, I just go right into it. And I just, give them all the reasons for no other reason than to educate and to try to avoid any of these stories that you and I have heard, and also to share some of the stories that you just shared where the people that did take it, $200 policy, thousands and thousands of dollar claim.
And it's not just about the money sometimes. It's about the confidence and the worry-free. You can travel knowing it's taken care of.
Yes, absolutely. Both life-changing if things don't go well. They are both life-changing. So we're trying to help them.
Well, I think that rounds up what we had on our agenda to talk about. And hopefully it's been a very enlightening conversation for people that listen in about Allianz travel insurance. So we know that people are not all in the same comfort level as far as travel right now. And we're not about promoting that people should be traveling right now with the advisories and so on in place, but we are definitely about dreaming for the future of travel. We know it will come back. We know that the thirst for travel is there in the marketplace, and the wise people are planning early. They're starting to book, get their Allianz coverage in place. That COVID policy is amazing. It takes the worry away from that kind of thing. Anybody who's listening in who has any questions on any of what we've presented today, we would be happy to take questions here at the agency. Please reach out to us. And when you're ready to travel again, we will be here and waiting to help you. Thanks again, Susan.
Well, and thank you very much. This has been a pleasure. I always enjoy having conversations with you and your team. And again, I will echo what you just said. For anyone that's listening, I really strongly recommend that you call Lois and her team, because they can answer those questions. And if not, they have a link right to me, and together we will collaborate and we will help you. So we are here to help. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much for your participation. Much appreciated. Great information. Thank you
Thank
again.
you. Take care.